Hi everyone, welcome back to the channel. Well, this is part 3, or the final part of the video series on setting up my CloudWatcher. Sorry, this one's taken a bit longer because the weather's been terrible and other things have got in the way. Now, some of this will be a bit of a repeat of some of the information I did in my video a couple of months ago on getting NINA in Spain to work with the CloudWatcher. So for those of you who have seen that video, beginning the first part will probably be a bit of a repeat of that. But there are some changes, obviously, because my setup here is different to the one in Spain. I also got asked by someone, how did I get the Telegram app to work from NINA to send me messages? And so I'll go through that towards the end of the video as well. And finally, while I was making this video, I was actually imaging a planetary nebula called CVMP1, which I'll talk about at the end just a little bit. Yeah, it was a bit of a challenge, but I think I got something reasonable at the end. So anyway, we'll get on with the video. So I've got NINA open and I've got all my hardware connected. So if we just have a look up here in the equipment, the camera, everything, filter wheel, everything is connected. I've also got the safety monitor connected, and currently it's cloudy, so it said it's not, realizes it's not safe. And that's the weather monitor, just getting the information from the Lunatico CloudWatcher observing conditions, and we can see the cloud cover is about 50% and the sky temperature is only minus 3.7, so it's relatively cloudy outside. That's why it's saying unsafe. Now there's a couple of plugins, as I mentioned in my previous video, when doing the rig in Spain, you want to have the Sequencer Powerups plugin, because that will have all the instructions that talk about the instruction sets you're going to use for when safe, wait until safe, when unsafe, etc. And the other thing you'll want is ground station, because I think you want to set up some sort of messaging system in your sequence to tell you what's going on when perhaps the roof is closing because clouds have appeared, or when the sequence is continuing because the clouds have disappeared, particularly if, say, you've set your telescope system in your observatory going and you've gone out somewhere. It's good to know what's going on. So I'll show you how to do it with Telegram, because that's what I'm using at the moment. So Sequencer Powerups and ground station. Now I'm going to go, first of all, I'm going to show you that under options and at the imaging tab, when I start up NINA, I have a basic sequence start and end sort of template within which I put my sequence. And I basically just took the one that I use from Spain, which is, if you look at the video, and I'll put a link to it, that I did a couple of months ago where I set this all up for the Spanish rig. I made this basic sequence end and start, and basically I just downloaded it and adapted it to my home setup with a couple of changes, because some of the hardware is a little bit different. So you can download that from the previous video. I might put a link to this one here, and you can just make changes to fit your own setup. So that's the first thing I've done. Now, if we go into we go to the advanced sequencer, and this is what I've got set up. So I've got a basic sequence start, basic sequence end, and I have this container within which I'm going to put all my targets. So this instruction set really just has one instruction, and that is, it is supposed to everything's supposed to loop until it reaches a certain time, and in this case it's nautical dawn. And when it gets to this time, no matter whether I'm in the middle of imaging or whether the roof is on and the sequence is in a holding pattern waiting for the clouds to clear, you obviously don't want that to carry on through the rest of daytime. You want at some stage the whole thing to come to an end and everything to shut down. So that's why you have this here. So at nautical dawn, it will get to this point and it'll say, right, let's close everything down. And so it'll then go to the basic sequence end instruction set. So you just got to make sure that you put your targets within this container. Now in the basic sequence start, there's only small changes I made because in the situation in Spain, I don't have control of the roof. So, I can't put in an instruction for open and closing the roof. But here at home, I do have control of the roof. So that's where I've added in an open dome shutter instruction. In Spain, I had a flip flap for the telescope, but here I don't. So I just removed that instruction. And when you're actually setting up and doing your basic sequence start, and you're running through saying, wait for a certain time, set your track and call the camera, and then at some stage you're going to open the dome. But what you want it to do first is you want to use this instruction here, wait until safe, which you can find under the Powerups template, under the Powerups instruction. So if I just run down here, here you go, Powerups, and all down here are all the different instructions that you can use. But so one of those is wait until safe, because obviously what you want it to do is before it opens the dome, you want to make sure that there aren't clouds. So it's going to check with your safety monitor and say, is it safe? Can I open the roof? And if it says it's not, then you want it to stay closed until those clouds disappear. If you put that wait until safe instruction after this, the roof will open, then it'll check to see if it's safe, and it'll go, oh, it's not safe, we better wait. But of course you don't want that because it could then rain on your telescope setup. So make sure you've got the wait until safe is before your open dome instruction. The basic sequence end, again, similar sort of changes. Remove the instruction for closing the flip flap because I don't have one, but I added in here close the dome shutter, or in other words the roof. So the first instruction it does at the end of the night, it sends my telescope back to the home position. You can have it sent back to the park position if you like. Neither of my telescopes actually touch the roof, so I'm happy to use the home position. Then close the shutter dome, warm the camera, and that's basically pretty much it. Now, as I said, if you want to put in a sequence, you make sure you put it in here, right? Just under instructions here, because you want it to be monitoring for a time to end at the end of the night. So if you've got a sequence already that you're doing, this one here is the Topsy-Turvy Galaxy. You just drag it up here and you put it in here. And it sits right in here, sits within this instruction container, and that's where you want to put your targets. Or just remove this one. If, for example, I'm doing a new target, so go to the framing. I should point out one other thing. I do have a template set up so that it has the instructions for when safe, when it becomes unsafe, etc. And I've got this one template set up here called Mono SHO CloudWatcher. Now there are all these templates here that were really useful from Patriot Astro, and he'd done a whole series of them with sort of slightly different tweaks, whether you're doing an SHO or an LRGB imaging session, whether you've got a rotator, you're using offsets, etc. Rather than going through and making a whole lot of these, I've just taken the Mono SHO sequence from here, and I've added in the instructions for when safe and when sort of unsafe, and I just use this for every imaging type. So even if it's not LRGB, even though the initial filter settings or imaging settings will be for SHO filters, I can just change those to red, green, blue, and whatever, add luminance, etc. So a bit lazy, just using the one template. So if we're going to do some framing on, say, M42, which I've got here, so I'll put in M42 and click this here and then do load image. Now this is obviously not what I would normally be using because, sorry, we'll just let the image appear. This is the framing for my Meade 10-inch, which obviously doesn't fit in the field of view, but let's just say I was imaging the core of M42. What I would do is over here, I want to make my new targets sequence. So I go to Sequencer and I look for my one called Mono SHO CloudWatcher, and I'll just click on that. And it will come in here. Now, if we just minimize that and have a look, you'll notice that this has not immediately gone into this container. So When you do that, you just want to drag it up and put it into that container, and then you're good to go. And because I was using that Mono SHO CloudWatcher template, when I actually open this up, you will see there are instructions in here for checking about conditions when they become unsafe, when they become safe. So here again, as I pointed out in the video I did on Spain, under the areas when your triggers where you put your meridian flip, center after drift, etc., this is where you want to put your set of instructions for when becomes unsafe, and you'll get that from the Powerups instruction set, which will be all throughout here. There's quite a few instructions there. I won't go through them all. But you can see here, well, I've got when becomes unsafe. I've told it to stop guiding, set the tracking to stopped, find home, so send the telescope back to home position, and then close the roof. And then it will go into to check here, and it will be looking for once safe. Now, obviously, if it's not safe, it'll just sit here and it'll be sort of, you'll see a little sort of circle thing sort of spinning over here, telling you that it's waiting and it's checking and waiting to get that information from the CloudWatcher that the clouds have gone, it's now safe. Once that happens, it will set the tracking back to sidereal, it open the shutter roof, slew and center, start guiding, and then it should just carry on with your imaging session which you've set up here. And because you have the set of instructions sitting up here with your triggers where NINA is checking for when it's time for meridian flip, whether there has been some sort of drift while you've been imaging, it will also be monitoring and checking continuously what's happening, what information is it getting from the CloudWatcher. So at any time, again during the night, might happen once, twice, as many times it happens, this will kick in if the clouds appear when it gets that signal from the CloudWatcher saying, hey, conditions are unsafe, and it'll just go back to here again and put you into a holding pattern until the clouds disappear. Okay, so I've got an imaging session up and running. This is just running through a focus because you can see the HFR was climbing quite badly. Hopefully at the end of this video I can show you this target that I'm imaging. But anyway, we've got the CloudWatcher here. You can see that sky temperature is minus 20.6, so it reads that as clear because my cutoff is minus 15. It is dry. It was quite windy today, and we've got no wind, we've got no gusts at the moment, which is great. The brightness, as you can see, it's quite bright here in my Bortle 5 probably really 6 skies, and the temperature outside is 9.8 degrees. On the graph, you can see that we did have a lot of clouds, and then it cleared. I think a few just popped over at one stage here, so it dropped down a bit, but now it's gone nice and clear. No rain, so it's nice and dry. You can see the wind. It was quite windy here, and then it just sort of settled down, and there's not much at all, but it's quite light. And the temperature is just dropping down here now. So that's that, and it's also obviously reflected in this version as well. Now I'll just show you the sky currently. As you can see here from my all sky camera is nice and clear. Okay, so unfortunately cloud has come in. As you can see here, the clouds come in. The sky temperature has dropped below minus 14, so I'm just going to quickly whip to the sequence. And if we have a look in here, we will see that it is at this point here. So it's returning the telescope to the home position. So it's already stopped the guiding, set the tracking to stopped, sending the telescope home, and then any minute now we should see it go to, here we go, and now it's closing the dome, or actually the roof as it were. So that has worked nicely, unfortunately due to the cloud. And once the roof is closed, it should go over to this next section, which is just sort of wait in the holding pattern of waiting for once safe. And here we are, and you can see it's rotating and it's sitting here and it's waiting, and it's going to wait until the clouds go, and this rises back up above it's actually minus 14. So you can see the graph here If we go to cloud, you can see how it's really plummeted. Okay, the screen is a bit crowded here, but you can see that the clouds are starting to leave, and you can see that the CloudWatcher is, the graph is starting to head up towards the clear, and in the sensor we're up to minus 13.6, so we're getting close to that. Oh, we've made it to that 14 cutoff where it's stated to be clear, but obviously, so I'll just bring back those other two windows. Yep, just bring back this one. Obviously, if it's hit clear, on here, then you might say, well, the roof opens straight away, but a lot of those clouds haven't left yet. So you can see there's still quite a few clouds here, and I don't necessarily want to set the thing imaging straight away. So I'm going to give it 4 minutes and try and get that to move away. And in theory, we will see the roof roll off. If I can find the window again to bring it in. Here we are. And so that's up to minus 17. It's still unsafe. We still haven't gone through the 4 minutes yet, so it's still waiting. So the 4 minutes is up, and you can see it says safe. So now it'll be telling this to progress on through its process here. Okay, so we can see it has kicked off into its safe. And it's opening the shutter dome, and you can see the roof, should I say, and the roof is opening, which is great. And once that is open, it'll reset the tracking to sidereal, and it'll slew to center. Then it'll start guiding, and it should start continuing to take images. Now, one problem I noticed, and that is quite a frequent problem in Auckland, as you can see, there is another bank of clouds coming. So unfortunately, because of where we live, it's very common to get lots of clouds with clear patches in between. The clear patches only last 5 or 10 minutes, and then another round of clouds come through. So, on nights like this, it's very hard to know whether to actually set that time limit to, for example, 10 minutes instead of 4 minutes or 5 minutes, because as soon as this is open and slewed and centered, it's going to start imaging again, and then very shortly it's going to close again. So one of the frustrations of imaging in Auckland. Okay, so there's the alarm to say that we have got cloudy conditions again, and there we go. It's done its stop tracking and stop guiding. It's going back to home, and then we should see the roof close again. So it's doing its job. It says it's unsafe, and it is telling NINA, let's close up again because those clouds are coming, and we never know, they might have a bit of rain with them. Okay, it's found home, and it's now shutting the roof, as we can see here, and that's the setting it's on. So, I can see it's going to be one of those imaging sessions, so I might have to keep an eye on it. And if we are going to continue to have banks of cloud coming through only sort of 5 to 10 minutes apart, I might have to, stop the whole sequence and see if it actually clears. Also, the target's getting quite low, so we might end up shooting the observatory wall instead of the target. So we'll see how we get on. But I think we've seen quite nicely that the CloudWatcher is doing what it's supposed to do. So I'm just going to quickly show you how quick it is to set this up, really. We're just going to go into the advanced sequencer, and I'm going to grab one of Patriot Astro's templates, which is the Mono SHO, drag that into here, and we'll get rid of these instructions. We don't need that. Now, I mentioned that you want to put it down here below your center after drift and meridian flip, etc. So it's just a matter of going into the instructions and going down to the power-ups. So first one is when becomes unsafe, and we just going to drag that into just to there, and that makes that container there. Going to drop that down. Now while we're here, we might as well grab the once safe, and we're going to put that within that as well. So the first thing we want to do is stop guiding. So we're just going to grab that and we're going to put that in there. And then we are going to go to the mount settings, or the telescope settings, and we are going to go to the stop tracking, or set tracking, sorry, set tracking. Put that under there, and we're going to put that to stopped there. And then we're going to go find home. You could put park if you wanted to. And finally, we're just going to whip up to the dome instructions, and we're going to close the dome shutter. So that's that done. So now we want to work out what happens when the clouds disappear once it's safe. And again, it's a matter of just kind of almost doing the reverse, really. So we're going to open the dome, or open the roof. I'm going to put that into the once. We'll just hang on. We'll just move that into here. So I'm going to open that down here. I've got to put that in there. There we go, into that. So it's got to go into this once safe container. Then we are going to, if you park a scope, you put an unparked scope instruction in there. But what I'm going to do is set the tracking again, and we're going to put it to sidereal, and then we're going to go to slew and center, and then we'll go back up to guiding, and we'll do start guiding. And that's kind of basically it. I mean, if you want to do ground station, and which I would recommend you do, you can just, if we go into the ground station settings, so if there's, say, for Telegram, I would do send to Telegram and grab that here. Oops, and put it there, and then your message could be, you know, sequence stopped, roof closed. Actually, it would be sequence paused would be the thing to put in. And then what you can do is you can do send a telegram again, and you can put it up here, and you can put roof open, sequence restarted, or, you know, recommenced or whatever. And that way it'll send instructions to your phone and tell you what's happening. And then once that's all done, you can just go up here and save it as a template for reusage. Actually, I should have changed the name on that one because it's just gone and overwritten the other one, but you can change it to safety. There we go, done. And so the next time you set up NINA and go into the sequencer, advanced sequencer and templates, we should find one called Mono SHO Safety. And that one you can just drag in, and it should have your when becomes unsafe and once safe instructions. So I had somebody ask me, how do you set up the messaging in Telegram, for example? So when you first sort of download Telegram from the App Store for your phone or tablet or whatever you like, you will be setting yourself up. So you'll say what country you're in and what your phone number is, etc. And it'll assign you a user ID. And you're going to need that to put into ground station. That's one of two things you've got to put in. So once you go into Telegram, if you want to find out what your user ID is, you can actually type in user info, and here's an option here, user info get ID, and you click on that, and if you have a look, you can see your ID, so you can write that down somewhere. So the next thing you want to do is set up a new bot for your setup. So you want to put in at the top here, search for bot father, start there, and we're just going to go, because this is sort of blanked out because I've already got my API number, but if we just go forward and we're going to do /start, . Okay, and then it's going to ask me what do I want to do. So there's all these different options here with all the things. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to do a new bot, /new bot. So we'll just go /new bot. Just wait for it to respond. It says how we're going to call it. So please choose a name for your bot. So I'm going to call it, say, _ we'll just call it that. Now let's choose a username for your bot. It must end in bot. So I'll put in a user for it. And I got an API, which is presence here. And then it's a matter of copying down that API. You have to, sort of basically start your bot, and it's got t.me, I presume that means to me, / and then the name of your bot. So you click on that and it will start it. And so I'm in that now, and then I can send myself a test message. And so I've opened up Ground Station in the Telegram app. I've put in my access token, and I've put in my chat ID, and I'm going to send myself a test message. It says it's successful, and you can see I've done it a couple of times, and on my phone it's arrived. And while I was actually testing it all out, you can see on the app I did have some clouds come over. It told me that the roof closed and the sequence was paused, and then the clouds left and it opened again and continued with the sequence. So that's all working nicely. Okay, well that wraps up the series on setting up the CloudWatcher with a home observatory. Hopefully you found that useful, particularly if you're thinking of using it for your own home observatory. It's been working very well. I did have one night where, and I think it was more a problem with NINA. The CloudWatcher was reporting that the conditions were clear, but NINA kept switching between clear and unclear and opening and closing the roof. So, I mean, a restart of NINA and that fixed it, and also I've updated NINA, so I haven't had that problem since. But it certainly has been getting a workout, the roof and the CloudWatcher, because the weather's been pretty awful for imaging. Episodes where I've been able to get to the clear sky have been very, very short, and the clear sky tends to only last about 5 or 10 minutes before a cloud rolls in. So yeah, the CloudWatcher has certainly been doing its job. I'll end by showing you the image that I was doing while I was sort of recording all this, and that is of a planetary nebula called CVMP1. It's in the constellation of the Compass. Now it's pretty faint, and I was doing 15-minute exposures with the Mead 10-inch. That's about as far as I think I can push the Mead at this stage. I have done the odd 20-minute one, but you know, it's got to be really, really still and have no buses going past to risk that. So yeah, it was 15-minute exposures. Now this planetary nebula, the CVMP is the name, part of the name is actually initials of the 4 astronomers who actually studied it in depth. I don't think they discovered it, but just sort of studied it in 1996. And it's also known as the Hourglass Nebula for reasons that will become obvious. And I think that's due to the fact that it's a binary star system that's sort of affecting the way the material is being blown away from the actual star that's creating the planetary nebula. So I'll leave you with that image. I haven't found many images of this planetary nebula. I've only found 3, 2 on Astrobin and 1 from a professional observatory. So yeah, hopefully people can get out and give this planetary nebula a little bit more imaging love, since there's not many images of it. So look, until next time, look, I hope everybody's getting lots and lots of clear skies.